Hi guys, happy full moon in Aquarius. This is a very awakening full moon and I really like it. I've had so many epiphanies already with this energy coming in, but I'm going to go through all the signs and tell you where this is happening for you. And if you don't know me, my name is Jenna. I talk about astrology and energy updates here. So you can hop on to your highest timeline because we are always manifesting our reality. And I like to give you the tools and information that you need so you can do that yourself. So here we are. Here's the Aquarius full moon. And it's a bit tense just because we have this Saturn and Neptune and Mars thing going on. But I really, really love this actually, and I'll get into it. And it's also the Lionsgate portal. So that's actually really exciting. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that also. And I love how this year there's so much just back and forth about it. Like, is it real? Is it not real? Blah, blah, blah. I have my opinion of it, so, and then, okay, so let's get into it. So the moon in Aquarius, it's putting a spotlight on the Aquarius part of our chart where we're focused on the future. This is where we're focused on evolution and invention, awakening, innovation. It's the collective consciousness, and it's about us finding our place in the collective consciousness, but at the same time, allowing everybody to have their own free will. Because Aquarius is also about being rebellious and uniquely you. It's about liberation and enjoying the change, enjoying the ways that you can change and innovate and evolve to be that next version of yourself, because that's what life is all about. It's where we balance out with this, especially now with this Leo and Aquarius axis with Pluto in Aquarius. This is where we're majorly balancing out our personal expression versus community, the self versus the whole. And with a full moon, we can kind of have a revelation and just some sort of release about what we've been hanging on to, that we can actually just awaken to a better way of doing things, to follow more of our own path ahead. I love Uranus energy because, Aquarius energy, because it is like Uranus, it's shocking, it's awakening. You can get more signs and synchronicities and downloads and just major breakthroughs that that just break you out of your previous limiting consciousness so you can evolve to the next bigger, picture in that higher consciousness. It's usually a back and forth between the self and the group. There's a little bit more intensity with this. But that's why I kind of love this Mars opposite the Saturn and Neptune, because we can really free ourselves, because Aquarius is also where we need to appreciate the collective experience of this multidimensional reality, and that everybody does have that free will to tune into whatever reality that they want to experience, because reality is malleable and we all have that choice right now to pick the reality that we want to experience. And I love, love, love Saturn and Neptune here opposite Mars for this, because we are finding out what reality we want to experience. Saturn, Neptune in Aries is all about getting into the body and listening to that body intuition. And that's how we're going to be the most powerful in this new era. When we're stuck in a job, or when we're stuck in a relationship, or just stuck in general, is when we're in our mind too much, is when we get stuck in the mind and we're going over and 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 trying to rationalize why we're doing whatever we're doing, when actually we need to be in the body more so and listen to that really heightened bodily intuition right now. And wherever we get that bodily yes, because that body yes, and it is like going towards your passion, it's going towards your excitement, it's like getting that energy and motivation to go where you really want to go. And you don't have to know why you're going where you're going to go, but your body tells you the feeling that you're going after. It's allowing you to kind of be in flow with the frequency instead of figuring it out in your mind. Because when you follow that feeling in your body and you're saying yes to the frequency and you're following the frequency, your body is telling you more of what you're going to be feeling. So this is giving us the guidance and the direction. And sometimes we say yes to things just because we need to learn something, just because we need to break out of that mental loop or pattern that was keeping us stuck in the first place. Because our frequency is majorly upgrading right now, and we're embodying more and more of our higher self with more love and more compassion. And we can have a very optimistic vision that we can follow to be more of our higher selves and more authentic selves, or, higher selves. I don't know if I want to say higher selves, but to be more of our authentic selves and to live that life where we are allowing ourselves to evolve and to embody more of ourselves. We're becoming a higher consciousness of ourselves, and we're feeling it in the body first. And instead of saying like, I need more money, because sometimes we can actually get stuck in the money game, and it does lower our consciousness because money is actually the middleman. Instead of focusing on money, we need to focus on expanding into that bigger version of who we really came here to be, so we can really remember ourselves, and then money comes. And our body is trying to free us. There can be things that we're trying to do and take action on, and we can get so frustrated. Like, this has happened to me a couple times where my body is just like, no, you're not doing this, because there's a better way to go about and to get the thing that you actually want and to be where you actually want to be. And I've always had a really, really, really strong like body intuition. So I always know immediately, like, yes, no, what direction to go in. And I don't, I never really like thought out why that I was following it for good or bad. But it is that, sometimes you don't know where you're going, and your mind will freak out if you let it, but you're aligning with the universe in a bigger way. You're actually freeing yourself. You're kind of softening where you used to be rigid before, and where you used to be too blocked off in artificial constructs, where the softening and just freeing yourself kind of opens you up to more of what you can potentially be. It opens you up so you can really hold more. It's kind of like when we're running, and we're trying to do things the same way, when actually we can just take a pause and like be in the void for a second, go within and invite more of ourselves like into our body. And then we know, there's just a knowing, there's just a clarity, and we're not constantly, on that hamster wheel of going and going and going. And you're in alignment with what's right for you. Because Saturn is actually asking us to really get that clarity internally first, so we know where to set the boundaries, so we know what feels good and what doesn't feel good, in our body, so we can say yes to things and no to things. And this is majorly about relationships, because this is the relationship access too. And we're facing those deep, deep layers that we've all had to conform in relationships in some way. Some of us are way too independent. Some of us are way too people pleasing. And, sometimes we go back and forth in different areas of our lives when we're trying to become one version of us in all aspects of our lives. So this is, this could bring up some challenges this week, where somebody comes in and tests a boundary, and, you're really learning to be so like true and firm in your alignment that it doesn't really matter, what they do, if they come in and out, and if they're testing you. Real power is being able to really hold your frequency and to just be in that presence of what's true to you and what's not true to you. But yeah, there's so many ways that we get stuck in relationship dynamics. Like, I was stuck in people pleasing for a while, and I just kind of saw a thing the other day where it reminded me of a past version of myself that was stuck in people pleasing. And when you usually tend to people please, you put your power outside of you. You say all of them first, me last. So you forget about yourself. And when you forget about yourself, it creates that anger and that rage and that resentment and that frustration. And it's especially would right now, where you can't do that anymore. You can't forget about yourself. You need to remember, like, you need to be okay with everybody being able to see that true version of yourself, and to be to let more of your inner child out again. I like it kind of is that, because that is your original self, being just saying like it is. That's why I love Aries so much. You guys are like literally my favorite signs. And after this TikTok I posted, like I only want to make content for Aries now, because you guys are so funny. You just go it, you say it, and you're showing us how to do this. Like, regardless of whatever, you'll burn it down. You are the walking red flag. And that's not a bad thing, because everybody actually needs to learn how to kind of do that right now, and not do it in a toxic way to like hurt people on purpose, obviously, but to be so like, honest and raw in your truth, and where you can set those boundaries from, self-love, and just having that strong inner structure and that inner knowing of what is right for you, because you can be open and soft and strong all at the same time. And I think that's what Aries are learning right now too. Instead of being too reactive and too fierce right away, you can be really strong and so rooted in your power, and your openness doesn't have to be confused for like softness. You can be both. But the true power with Saturn and Aries is really just being able to set the boundaries, like with what you want in life, and have that just extreme. I say extreme because it's Aries, like Aries energy is extreme, not extreme though, just have that internal clarity, being okay to define what your reality is, because a lot of the world is kind of fucked up right now, because there's a lot of empaths just taking on everyone's shit and not defining their own reality. So that's where people pleasers get stuck too, because they, let their reality go to the backside, and they don't tell anybody because they feel like, you can hold their pain, you can transmute their pain and everything. But at the same time, then it kind of doesn't allow them to grow. So you need to feel that fire to define your reality. And it doesn't matter, especially when it comes to like our parents in the past, like they did the best they could. And just by saying, your version of reality, maybe it does hurt a little bit or whatever, but, at the same maybe it might hurt them a little bit, but they weren't trying to be malicious. But your reality still does matter. And you voicing your reality out is really important. So you don't fall into those, the ways of self-sacrificing and losing yourself, in life in general, and to maybe that internal rage. And then on the other side of things, if you have a tendency to be more independent, more just self-focused all the time, then you do need to hear the other side. We actually both need to hear both sides of of whatever situation or whatever relationship. And that's actually how we can move forward in, a really, really healthy way, especially since we have this air trine going on. It can just be a major catalyst for evolution in relationships. And yeah, if you're on the other side of just being very self-focused, there might be a story that you need to hear, if you have a tendency to be a people pleaser, because that's how it goes. There's a person that's extremely self-focused, and they're always in a relationship with a people pleaser, or the empath narcissism dynamic, and those are definitely being balanced out right now too. But as long as we hear both sides, and we don't need to take it personally, we just got to realize we're all going through this like this intense evolution in humanity right now, and we'll end up better people on the other sides. And I love Neptune here helping us dissolve the old ego, in a more unconditionally loving way, because we're merging more with our higher selves. And when we let our ego dissolve, we have a lot less of those fears. Our smaller self, or the ego, always has a ton of those fears. They fear certain things about relationships. They are scared about money. But every single time we allow that to happen, and we allow the ego to, create, just hang on to those fears, which aren't real, then the ego sabotages what you're unconsciously trying to protect. You're afraid to lose all your money. So you're constantly trying to make money, but you end up making like bad money decisions and all of that. Your ego in an unconscious way will really self-sabotage, relationships, money, and create more money problems. Whatever you're worried about is where you actually need to surrender and kind of surrender to God and like have faith, because that's the only way that you can surrender whatever you're afraid of and whatever narratives you've hung on to. So you can open up again, release and open up to more of your higher self. Because every single time we're afraid of something, we box ourselves in some way. And then we become this smaller version of ourselves that can't easily expand and have that, higher consciousness to do it. So wherever we've stopped ourselves from going after what we truly want, and this could be like where we get stuck in the body and then get stuck in the mind, and we're not taking the actions to align with our bigger selves. The ego is the lens, and it makes us feel like we always have to fight for something or always have to like go against the grain for something, versus knowing that we already have everything within us. We already are the source. We are already worthy of everything that we want, and we already have it as soon as we turn off those ego stories and allow ourselves to have it. And we'll never not have an ego, but it's all about letting ourselves evolve more and more and more to that healthier ego that is more expansive and more connected to our higher selves and like open. What's kind of happening right now is like, if you clench your fist, like especially if it comes to something in your life, just wherever you have been like clinging on to something like so tightly, this is where you need to open up and just like feel it, like feel how you can open up instead of hanging on and keeping everything the same. And that's where you can like say, it's okay if it falls apart, surrender it. I know I'm going to be okay. I know I'm going in the right direction. And if you get into your body, you'll know what direction to go in. And that's where you need to make all your decisions from. So with any decision, how does it make you feel? How does this person make you feel? How does the job make you feel? This is how you'll really, really know, out of the mind into the body. You're stepping into a whole new version of yourself in a whole new way with full authenticity and full transparency. I wish I had an Aries placement. I love Aries, so you can really feel, just when you make those decisions, and it could be small decisions too. You could just start making small decisions in your day. Like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I eat healthy? Should I get comfort food? Some days you need that comfort food, because that is the way that you're healing in that day. Should I go on a vacation? Should I work more? Feel it in your body. Your body knows. Like, I actually was going to record this yesterday, and then like I hit a wave of just like, like dead. So I'm like, thank God I didn't do this yesterday. It would have, come out miserable. So your body really knows, whatever feels like expansion to you. And I also kind of like that too, because like sometimes in this, doing spirituality, you can kind of get stuck in like good and bad and like separate things. And that's also the ego is trying to like separate things more, when you really just need to get within yourself and listen to what's right for you. And, life is all about balance, and it's really just trusting your own path and being so connected internally to your own path that you have that full trust with wherever you're going and what feels like expansion to you. And Saturn and Neptune are also dissolving a lot of artificial constructs that aren't really right for us or real. Like I just switched to the Mayan calendar because the Gregorian calendar, if you look back into it in 1560, it was made to monetize our time. It was made it was made for work, and it was made for taxes. So we would start working hourly, and then so we would pay our taxes on time. So we kind of sacrificed. That's why work is so miserable right now, actually, because back in the day, we used to focus on the quality of things, and you got paid for the quality in your skills and your talents, and you putting your soul into things, and you really like, yeah, just putting your effort and your soul into whatever you're working on. Versus now, like our time is just cut up and we get paid hourly, and it's like quality over or quantity over quality. So that's why work is so unsatisfying, because it's not going to be satisfying if you put in this many hours per day, if you're working a 9 to 5. And we're really feeling that, especially now. And we're going to be feeling that while the South Node is in Virgo too, and all this, Saturn on Neptune stuff. We're feeling it. It's soul sucking like it has never, been before. And we could ignore it back in the past. But we're starting to not be able to ignore it. And I know everyone is doing what they need to do and everything, but as long as you have this awareness and you can start directing your attention to moving in rhythms that are more so right for you, and not guilt tripping yourself for doing the 9 to 5 or not being on grind mode 24/7. Because I attracted a lot of workaholics, because that's who I work with a lot, actually. And yeah, there is a major need to kind of recognize where you need to receive again, where you need to get into alignment, because alignment is actually number one that will lead you to all the best things. And you should not pay attention to the Gregorian calendar as much as possible. I suggest like getting on the Mayan calendar, because it literally does make you more in flow with time. And it does get you in tune with, nature. And there's a squirrel right there. And synchronicities and like life's, just life. And when you get in flow with that, you are receiving more of yourself, so you give yourself more of the freedom. So your consciousness is raised to tell you the right directions to go in. That's why it's really easy to trap people when they're stuck in the Gregorian calendar, because you're not in the natural flow of life, in the natural cycles, and you're not able to really receive messages from your higher self and tune into that inner guidance. And so many of us are stuck in go, 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 go mode, that we're not listening to the inner guidance that would actually free us. And I've noticed this already, I've only been on the Mayan calendar for a week, or since June 25th, the Galactic New Year. Time and calendars really shape our perspective in life. And time is actually malleable. When you do something, when you're doing something you love, you get so much more energy and you're flowing through it and you get it done really fast and it's really enjoyable. Versus when you're somewhere where you don't want to be, time can literally take forever. It can almost seem like a whole day and it's only been an hour. So when we can shift our perspective into more of the natural rhythms and flow of life, we do get more of our control back. So it is kind of crazy, to realize that something like that can shift, your perspective so much in reality to make you go in the wrong direction. But yeah, I suggest you got to have your appointments. That's what's nice about iPhones too, or, our calendars are on our phone, and it lets us know when we need to know something at least, but we don't need to be super fixed with looking at the clock or looking at the calendar all the time. So I think a big part of this full moon also is seeing where we can get out of the boxes. We've been kind of stuck in boxes, especially with Pluto and Capricorn, and we're ready to awaken to more. We can't stay in one system, because one system really doesn't help us with the bigger perspective of things. It's kind of like with astrology. I don't know. You can't consider astrology without considering nature, without considering spirituality and even science. We kind of need to mix everything to really explain the bigger reality that we're in. And I think that's what we're kind of lifting up out of. So we're not all stuck in our boxes. But yeah, I've even thought about using combining sidereal too, because I have been in my personal life, because there is something with Yeah, the whole sign system, it is fixed in place, and it has been for 5,000 years, and it does work. That's the thing. It does work, and it does explain the energies that are, happening. But the sidereal is actually where the planets really are right now. And that's where the neutrinos and the energy is being sent to us from. So it's also really important to be aware of that too. And then also on neutrinos, neutrinos were found in the 60s by, science, but Rahuru, the human design guy, he channeled what they do to us, in 1987. So it's kind of crazy, like the channelers and the scientists, you guys can work together also. And that's what this Aquarian age is. But we're realizing more and more that everything is connected. The boxes were always artificial, the boxes, the labels. If you want to be powerful in the age of Aquarius, you got to get out of the boxes. You kind of just have to follow your own unique path, be a little rebellious, and look at the bridges, actually, because everything kind of bridges together when you find the bridges. Like we're just, studying the, fascia for the first time. And that's like that's the everything in between the bones and the muscles and all of that. It's like an interconnected web in our body. And we're just discovering the importance of that. That's like the bridge, and the fascia actually does affect our mental health and our physical health. And it also stores a lot of our body's trauma. That's why, or our past traumas. That's why there's a lot of people right now, they're taking those, the shots, the fat shots or whatever. So the fat goes off, really fast, really quick, but there's a lot of reports with people doing that. And then they're going through these extreme emotions from back when they put the weight on, because the weight that they put on was essentially just a wall, they put on to protect themselves. So the fat's going, but like the fascia and like the fat just held all those past emotions and hormones and all of that needed to be released. Don't consider the fascia anymore when it comes to your physical health and mental health bridges. I think we've, known this for a while. You can't just focus on modern, medical health stuff without also looking at diet and then mental health. What do you do every day? Combining the systems for more awareness of what's going on so we can be empowered, so we can have our consciousness kind of be raised into what's going to be right for us. I have an 11th house Venus, so it kind of reminds me, if you have that placement or Aquarius placements, it's kind of like you're friends with all the friends. You have a bunch of groups all over the place. There's not just one special group that you're, interested in. You kind of know everybody from everywhere. And that's kind of, how you can be empowered with Pluto in Aquarius. And that's also why I'm kind of looking at the Mayan calendar right now, because I kept on thinking about what is the oldest calendar, Globlio Tepi or whatever the hell, however you say it is. But the Mayan calendar is actually extremely accurate with the planetary cycles, with Venus cycles, with Mars cycles, with the moon cycles. And it also has the galactic new year on it. So somehow way back then, we were aware of how we were connected to the bigger universe in the cosmos, not just Earth, not just the solar system. Also why feminine energy is kind of in power until 2044, because feminine energy is all about unifying and bringing people and everything together. It's not about competition or my way is right this way and that's the wrong way. There's truth in everything, and we get to appreciate everybody's individual truth. It's all about just whatever reality that you're tuning into and whatever reality you want to experience. And now we'll talk about Lionsgate. So I kind of love how everybody, even in the spiritual community and everywhere, is kind of going back and forth with it, because I kind of looked into it this year and there was something that I was just following intuitively where I'm like, oh, the Galactic New Year is on June 25th. And then I'm like, okay, so we're getting off the Gregorian calendar. So like 8-8 isn't really a thing. And where did Lionsgate even come from? Because it came from somewhere. Like everything, 8-8 is, not really the day, because that is an artificial calendar. That's not a calendar that's in touch with the synchronicities and the flow of, natural time and organic life. And especially since I switched to the Mayan calendar this year, I actually think Lionsgate is on June 25th, because that is the Galactic New Year. And that's the day out of time where you just receive higher energies. And I actually did that this year because, I just like, it was like the day before, I'm like, what, the Mayan calendar? I'm going to start following this. And then it was the day out of time. And, you just feel the energies, it, like, the veils are very thin, and I just felt so much like energy coming in that day. So I think, Lionsgate is a real thing. I don't necessarily think it was called Lionsgate back in the day, but there is a 3-day period that Jesus used to ascend to higher states of consciousness. And, they talk about it in the Bible. Doesn't mean that it came from, the Bible, but because Jesus actually did travel to a bunch of like Eastern countries, and learned a lot of different religions and philosophies, and got to kind of the core of spirituality to learn everything that he learned, so it's in the Bible because Jesus used these 3 days to ascend to higher consciousness. And they said it was from August 6th to August 8th. Like a 3-day period. And, like, it's not one exact day, because reality is more flexible than that. It's like reality and energy kind of comes in waves, not just like one fixed day. But it was August 6th to 8th on the Julian calendar. So when you look that up, that actually goes to June 25th also. So I celebrated it on the right day, and next year for all you guys, just kidding. But yeah, there is, I think, wiggle room with like what day you should celebrate. And actually, I kind of like it to celebrate the whole month, because for the Mayan calendar, the first 28 days are really important with setting intentions with what seeds are you planting to complete for the rest of the year in this 13 moon cycle. So it's really important to even have a whole month where you're really focusing on setting intentions for every single day. And this year it's more so, we're so connected to actually our chakra system and awakening more of ourselves from the inside, so we can bring more of ourselves onto the externally, throughout the year. But this year, we're definitely awakening majorly all our chakras to a whole nother level, so we can do this throughout the year. And manifestation should be every day. It shouldn't just be like these portal days or anything. So you should be manifesting every day. And I do think that Lionsgate is kind of like, I don't even know if you would say like it's an egregore right now, but like, egregore is like a non-physical entity or thought form that is there because it's a collective belief, and people are investing their thoughts and emotions towards it. But as long as there's a collective belief in something for good, there's collective beliefs about the reason why we have wars, religions and all of that. There's the bad egregores. That's why and that's what egregores are mostly known for. But as long as there's a collective belief and emotions going towards the right direction and towards manifesting more peace and more unity out in the world, and it's positive and it's good vibes, then that's like a positive one to have. But right now we're like all fighting each other over it now. And it's like, okay, now it's turning into another like matrix trap. And now we're wasting all our time doing that. So, another matrix trap in the spiritual community. And this happens in all communities, not just the spiritual community. So at the end of the day, what resonates with you? Because that's the times that we're moving into. We all get to be sovereign beings, and we all get to believe in what we really want to believe in. Does it resonate with you? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel uplifted? Celebrate it. If it doesn't, and then don't celebrate it, but it's whatever your intentions are is the thing that really matters versus the day or versus whatever. And I will say one more thing. No, it is not astrologically there, but I think there's something to the Mayan calendar, which does include astrology and the bigger cycles of the universe, where we have been really way too zoomed in, where we kind of need to zoom out. Galaxy, like top down from the galaxy, is actually a massive wave of dimensions. And the center of the galaxy is the 12th dimension. And you go down and down and down. Sirius is at a higher dimension. And that's why they call it our spiritual sun. And then we are at the lowest dimension in 3D linear reality, where we can't comprehend the quantum reality. And we are just now, like in science, in spirituality, and everything, kind of zooming out to the bigger, like quantum reality that we actually, live in, that is going to kind of, make us, wake up kind of a lot more and not be so stuck in linear 3D time. And you actually kind of get to know like this even more and more from my understanding when you start manifesting, because then you realize like how powerful you actually are at the core of your own center of your universe. How you can manifest your reality if you're really, really putting your attention and focus on manifesting your reality the way you want to. It's more of that understanding coming out that we are all connected. Telepathy is becoming more of a thing, the telepathy tapes. We're all connected. There is such a thing as the Akash. What we do here does affect a lot of dimensions above us. That's why aliens started coming in after we dropped the bomb and everything. So we are all connected, and we don't know how really, but I'm going to go with the ancient knowledge with what they knew before we've been so dumbed down, and follow the nuggets until, you get that knowing, and that's all you can do. And that's actually why I do love Mercury retrograde in Leo opposing this moon, because we're really going within and getting more so in tuned with our heart. I think I think the most important thing with going into this new age is versus, you don't want to spat out facts and information, and everyone has their facts and information and word vomit all over the place. But at the end of the day, are you planting seeds of love? Because that's the only thing that's really going to bring anyone expansion, including yourself. So this is where we can kind of go within and get into our heart and see if we can align more so with our own love and expansion, because that's how we'll show people, is when we lead from love. That's going to be the most powerful thing. You can, talk about all these crazy things, but at the end of the day, what's really going to show people is your, full embodiment and you living it out, and, appreciating the collective experience, because it is very exciting, like how everyone gets to live in very unique, whatever ways that they really want to. But at the end of the day, you get to have your knowing and your own free will to choose what you really want to choose, because there can definitely be ego battles with all of this. So make sure before you get into one of those battles that you go within, like, is this an ego thing? Is this an ego thing where you're just trying to win? Or are you appreciating the collective experience of everyone living in this multidimensional reality? And are you allowing yourself to expand into more consciousness awareness of your own ability to live in this more consciously in this reality in the way that you really want to? And I love how Spencer Pratt is going all the way off right now, and he's doing it in a funny way. And I think this is, how you can be the most powerful also. This energy kind of reminds me of what he's doing, because he's like pointing out the obvious. He's continuously bringing out all the facts and all the evidence and not letting people forget, not letting everyone forget about it, because literally a whole town burnt down and Maui needed a Spencer Pratt. And it only takes one person trying to do the right thing. And who cares if you're being called a conspiracy theorist or whatever, as long as you know in your heart that you're doing the right thing and you're bringing around change for improvement for the collective, then that's all you need to listen to. And then, you can like actually have a lot of fun. Like, I love the turnaround that they made. I love how she's a pop star, and I love how he's, the pop star supporter, and then that he's a conspiracy theorist, which, conspiracy theorist is literally just having the hot tip early. And then, just doing what he's doing. I love Spencer Pratt in this new era. So how can you be more like Spencer Pratt in this new new era? And or whoever you're, be you at the end of the day. And how can you live more out loud from your heart for the greater good, for the collective, to uplift the community, to share your light with the community. And even though it's tough times, we can do it in a lighthearted way. He's putting music with his shit and everything, even though it's like, we're calling out dark politicians and all of that and the obvious like corruption. But at the end of the day, your light is what's going to spread. You being able to transform the darkness into light is what's going to uplift people and give people hope to stand up against the obvious corruption, happening out in the world. So really ask yourself, are you living from your heart, or are you shutting down from fear? And this can kind of get you into alignment too, because we also have this nice air trine going on, and this is the new era. There's going to be new ways of thinking, new thoughts, new visions, new communication, new people that we're connecting with. And when we're so in flow with our own frequency and in our own alignment, we can flow into, we can receive a lot more of the information and just the inspiration that's right for us, and go in the right direction for more innovation and freedom and curiosity and letting go of the past. And we can also find soul family. There's power in community. And you will find people that just kind of get you. And it is because you're on that similar wavelength, So at the end of the day, there's challenges with relationships, but we're also finding our people majorly with this. So how can you like be more in the synchronistic flow and in your own alignment and find that balance in relationships? See where you can evolve to like a higher level of, just understanding relationships. And yeah, let ourselves be excited about this new era. Don't not seeing where we were too boxed in, where we can set ourselves free and follow, sorry, one sec. And follow our excitement, and let those answers come to us with what this new era is. I also kind of like this because we have been just in society, I think we have trouble with like suppressing our joy and excitement, when that's actually going to guide us, towards the right things. That's like our higher soulful selves, like, getting our frequency up, and, instead of like containing ourselves and not letting ourselves get too excited about something, we can, be a lot more free, be a lot more airy, like let ourselves be joyful and jump onto those higher timelines in higher currents in, the easiest way possible, and step more and more so into our lightness. Because when we realize what we need to let go of, we get to step into more into our embodiment, which is actually lighter. It makes us feel more excited. It makes us feel more motivated. It makes us feel more spontaneous and in flow with our actual selves. All right, guys, so let's get into all the signs. And by the way, if you want to look at your sun is your soul. It's your life force. It's your core identity in this lifetime. And it's kind of like what you're headed towards at the end of your lifetime. You'll be firmly in whatever sign that is. But if you need kind of more direction with where you'll get more willpower, and where you can go towards more of your purpose in life, then looking at your sun sign can definitely be very useful, especially when it comes to themes of your career, and yeah, just your calling. So, and your moon, your moon is how you perceive reality. It is your emotional body. It's kind of like the anchor of your consciousness. So, when you're looking out at the world, this is the story that you're telling yourself. And we can become more and more conscious of the story that we're telling ourselves by looking at our moon signs. And when we do that, it gets us into alignment so we can manifest our reality in the way we want, in the best way for us. The Vedics really say look at your moon first, because it is going to be accurate with how you're emotionally feeling. And, they put it at, more of an importance. And I think, that's why I think it is very important to see how you can manifest your reality by getting into alignment with that. But it is also your personal life. So if there's anything going on in your personal life, then you want to be looking at your moon sign for what's going on. And if you're looking at your rising sign, this is going to be the most accurate objectively. If somebody's like looking into your life, from the outside, and with events that happen, you want to be looking at your rising sign, because that will be the most accurate. If you need to switch your job, if you are changing relationships, to predict events, we always look at the rising sign, because that ends up being the most accurate. And it's also just how you move through life and how you're perceived. So, okay, let's get into it. So first, for you, Aquarius. So this is a big, this is your moment. The spotlight is on you. You're awakening to the next level of yourself, to Aquarius 2.0, to Aquarius 6.0, whatever. Whatever, you should be constantly growing and evolving, especially for you with Pluto in your first house, So there's something about maybe that you're bringing attention to when it comes to yourself and your identity, who you are out in the world. The first house is where we step into embodiment. It's where we kind of step into our avatar. And is this avatar reflecting you? Is this avatar the most reflective of who you actually are internally? This could be a moment where you're shedding old roles, old identities that no longer serve you anymore, so you can step into that higher embodiment that is really meant for you. And with this with Mercury going retrograde in the 7th house, this could have to do with relationships. Like maybe you have been too people pleasing in relationships. Maybe there's some stories that you need to release when it comes to relationships. Maybe you do need more independence. Maybe you need to stop caring what they think. Maybe you need relationships that are more fun, that are boosting you up into the most authentic version of yourself. Pay attention to how you feel in these relationships, because if they're kind of boosting you up, if they're making you feel more alive and motivated, and they appreciate that that most authentic version of you, then those are your people. Those are who you want to be surrounded with. If they're kind of weighing you down and trying to keep you stuck in the same, then you gotta let them go. Especially with Pluto in your first house, like you have big things that you're evolving into and trying to do in this life, and you need to be on board with transforming, and you need to allow more of those old identities to shed, so you allow more of your higher self to be embodied. And that's the only way you can be the most powerful. You can't let fear or what would they think, or any of those stop you from being that highest version of yourself out in the world. And I love this because you are getting so much help, because you're getting this nice air trine. So you're getting pushed onto your higher timeline with Mars in the 9th house. You're driven towards these bigger goals and aspirations, and driven towards more knowledge. And there might be something that you learned during this time, or a different worldview that you kind of awaken to. that frees you from an old limiting mindset. With Saturn and Neptune in your third house, you're really staying true to your voice. You know, what you think every day, the way you speak to yourself, the way you think, the way you speak, the way you just go about your life in a very intentional way. You want to be very intentional. Saturn is asking you to really set like the goal for the dream and work at it in your everyday life. You know, this is your time to really get serious in your everyday life, you know, because you have to be serious about your dreams and your goals, because otherwise you're not taking them seriously and you're wasting your time and your energy not going towards them. So this is a great time to really make a plan and a structure that really does serve you, that is helping you be that, you know, have the right mentality every day, and to speak to yourself kindly, and to be motivating yourself, and to put out any boundaries around possibly siblings or neighbors, or like neighbors are, I have the worst neighbor right now. So that's, and I'm a Leo, rising is opposite. I'm dealing with this. Like, she's the worst. And like, if I told you what happened, like you would think she was the worst too. I'm not being dramatic with it. But yeah, there's a way that you can go about your everyday life where you can recognize more of your magic. I think you haven't been recognizing your full magical potential. The only thing to make magic happen in your everyday life is to be very intentional about how you live your life. So, you know, definitely watch out, you know, just what you do in your everyday. What do you listen to? What do you watch? Because there's subconscious, you know, things that come across with what you're watching. That's why, like, I'll watch, you know, a reality dating show every now and then, but especially the ones where, what is the young one? I don't know. Memes are all over about it right now. But yeah, it's like subconsciously that, you know, they're all hot or whatever, but subconsciously that show is teaching the younger generation that you can just move through people, you know, and you know, hotness is the most important thing, but there's always a subconscious message. So pay attention to the subconscious messages of whatever you're digesting on a daily basis. And that is with content, since it is the third house. Because you want to be telling yourself a magical story in your everyday life, and that's how the magic can happen. So how have you been stepping up in your life, and how can you release those outdated versions of you so you can just be more empowered to go make magic happen out in the world? Because whatever's inspiring you with Uranus in the fifth house, you're awakening to your fun, to your excitement, to you know, your pleasure, to maybe your creativity. And that's helping you stand up, you know, more tall out in the world with who you authentically are. And Mars in the ninth house, you're finding more balance with, you know, a broader perspective of the world that will bring more balance and harmony to yourself and to others. You know, it's anytime you get into a debate, this is a kind of a good time to like open up to see where you can maybe see the opposite side of the coin, to see where you can realize where like you might have been stuck in, you know, some sort of like limiting program, because there might be debates during this time. And yeah, a relationship could come in and trigger something else. So you're like, oh, I was looking at the world in a completely different way, but now I can be more open, be more flexible, and allow like higher information in. So magic came out. You're making magic happen in your everyday life. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move towards possibilities, expressions that are as grand and as profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in the manifestation. So you are getting major downloads every single day right now. So that is also why it's really important to give yourself that alone time to journal, to write, to meditate, connect with nature, do whatever it takes to really connect, you know, to the broader perspective so you can receive those higher messages, because that's how you will be the most empowered. and share your voice. Yeah, this is unblocking your voice majorly. So you're not holding yourself back. You're just saying what needs to be said. And, sometimes we hold back our voice because we're afraid of being persecuted, old witch wound, or yeah, it's time to come out of your cave in a whole new way so you can share your voice and express yourself in a whole new way and see how that makes you just feel more bold and empowered. Because with that, you're going to release the old ways that you used to attach. And this could be to relationships. This could just be to habits in your everyday life, that when you release those attachments, you find so much more freedom and you find the cornucopia, the abundance that is all around. And it will be around in a very easy way as long as you're opening yourself up to it. So you can lead more so with your heart and kind of let your heart and your body guide you in your everyday life, in your intuition towards the right things that are meant for you. All right. Thank you so much, Aquarius. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Pisces. So this is lighting up your 12th house. So the 12th house is the spiritual area of our lives. It's kind of like where we go back, retreat, go hermit mode, so we can connect with our internal selves and listen to that inner dialogue. And there can be major things from the past just coming up that we're recognizing we need to release. You need to release to create more of that space and to release the ways that you might have been unconsciously getting in your own way from when it comes to manifesting the best life that you really want to manifest, because we're consciously we will be continuously evolving out of that throughout our lives. The 12th house is everything. It is the universe within us, where we can either get a light bulb moment and be more awakened so we can, go in the right direction towards a passion, towards whatever's really meaningful to us, or we can see where we just needed to be more open. There was stuff that came to us in our lives and we just kept on putting up the block and getting in our own way. So we weren't open to receiving whatever was really meant for us. So this is the time to go in, retreat, journal, really connect with your inner world to receive those higher messages, because there can be a major clearing. I kind of like this week because with this air trine going on, this is majorly freeing yourself from past stories, from your internal dialogue, from the fears and the doubts, because the 8th house deals with fears and doubts and the ways that we keep ourselves from taking action because of shame or guilt, or not resurrecting those deeper parts of ourselves, and it could be because of relationships. Here, I like to bring up this. One sec. I like to bring this up because it kind of just sums up all the emotions that we keep track or trapped in the 8th house, because this is where we try to people please, where we stuff our authentic self down because we're afraid of projections. We're afraid we just got brought up that you can't be that way because of whatever, because of your family or society. So you suppressed your authentic self and you weren't being who you truly are. So when we do that, we get stuck in jealousy, revenge, anger, discouragement, blame, worry, all these lower emotions. If you're feeling any of that, then this is when they would come up and be resurrected. And there was a reason why you suppressed yourself and weren't living more so from your passions and your enthusiasm and joy and optimism. So you can feel it, see how you can be more powerful and more embodied moving forward and more magnetic to all the right things that are really meant for you. Because whenever you do that deep internal shadow work with the 8th house, you become a magnet for relationships and jobs and whatever you desire from that deeper soulful place. And I like how, there might be, with this back and forth, there might be confrontation in relationships with your significant other. And it could be about money. It could be about intimacy. It could be about any of those deeper sensitive topics that you didn't want to talk about. So you suppressed it and you're like, if I bring that up right now, it's going to cause a whole thing. So like maybe you suppress it and don't bring it up until later. Well, later is now, and it's time to bring it up, because if it's not brought up, Mars and Aries or Mars and Libra will like tilt the whole scales and, mess up the whole thing. So this is the time to kind of be direct and have those conversations in your relationships. And it could also be with business partners. So you can make things more fair, because Saturn and Neptune in your second house, you're really stepping into more of your embodiment when it comes to your self-worth, when it comes to the security that you want in life, that you deserve. And you're recognizing with Saturn and Neptune here that you are already worthy. You are already worthy, and you actually are the abundance within. And when you get stuck like chasing money or chasing something like that, that is the middleman, versus you. Right now, you're kind of more so versus chasing money, because this is the house of money. You are actually on a soulful journey to expand more into who you actually are, and expand your consciousness. When you worry about money, that can actually lower your consciousness. You are expanding your consciousness to recognize what you already are and what you already have, so that money just comes to you. So this is, majorly triggering you for more empowerment, so you can recognize you are that bitch and you are already worthy of everything that you want. And, you're just majorly clearing out everything that, or just a lot that kept you stuck, kept you blocked, kept you stuck in the past, or, in old relationships or partnerships that aren't serving you anymore, or whatever it is, you're blocking yourself. I mean, this is an insane internal purge. So definitely spend some time going internal and let this purge happen. Let everything come up and out. Because, yeah, there's a way that you're speaking up. This also rules the throat chakra, too. You're recognizing where you suppressed your voice. And every single time we do that, we don't speak our authentic truth out in the world. And you need to do that majorly right now. You're stepping up more into yourself. It's you time. It's not serve everybody else time. Even though you don't want conflict most of the time because you're a Pisces. But there is sometimes you need to have conflict for that evolution, for that deepening of what you really want, and what is actually there on both sides. So speak up. You're being called to really speak up and just say it. Whatever really needs to be said, you need to say it, because you're aligning in a whole new way, mind, body, spirit. Where you were fragmented, you're gaining those soul fragments back. So what's not aligned and what needs to change. And you're going to feel that in your body again, because you're going through a remembrance. Yep, you are that bitch. You're remembering who you actually are. And the frequency of remembrance supports our memory of everything that we have gone through as a soul in a body, providing us with the valuable information and tools to flow gracefully with and in this life. So yeah, when we awaken to that soul remembrance, we get so much more powerful, because we remember all the lifetimes that we've been through, and on this planet, off this planet. I like the soul lifetimes off this planet, which you could totally be remembering right now with all of this. That will make you that's tuning you more into your frequency of what's right for you, what's not right for you. And then also making you realize how powerful you really are. So you're already doing it. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north, which your true north is actually all about you right now with the North Node in your first house. You might be overthinking with this. It's time to get into the body and just listen to that yes or no. All right. Thank you so much, Pisces. Hi, Aries. Okay, so this is putting a spotlight in your 11th house, which is your friendships, it's your groups, it's your social networks, it could be social media, it's your hopes and dreams and visions for the future. And there's a realignment here. You're seeing what you have completed so far, what you have manifested so far, and how can you go to the next level, and what needs to be released so you can go to the next level. There could be friendships that you're realigning with, during this time, especially with Mercury retrograde in your fifth house in this opposition. You're recognizing where your heart is calling you, what truly feels resonant in your heart, what makes you feel uplifted and happy, so you can go in that direction instead of pleasing the crowd. So you might be releasing relationships or releasing projects that is no longer fitting with you anymore, so you can truly follow your heart and your passion, because that's going to lead you in the right direction. And yeah, you're just evolving majorly through relationships with this nice air trine going on. There's new ways that you're communicating with, more authenticity, more just saying it. And I love you guys, Aries. And I think I love you even more so now with Uranus in the third, because you're literally just saying it. And you can have revolutionary thoughts and ideas to say to the world. And you're kind of meant to show everyone how they can just, be more unapologetically themselves. you know, like um I made a post watch out for the red flags, Aries, and they're just like, we are the red flags. And I that's what I love about Aries energy. It's just say it. You are truthful, you are just honest, you are unapologetically yourself. But at the same time, with Saturn and Neptune in the first house, there's a major softening that's happening. There's a major shedding of the layers of the old identities and who you have been so far. And this could be old stories that you told about yourself, that who you are now, where you're just getting used to this energy. You are evolving into a whole new version of yourself. And you have that idea of it right now. And you're planting the seeds to bring more and more of what you're feeling on the inside into the outside. So there could be a relationship right now that comes in that is, triggering with Mars in the seventh house. This is significant relationships. This is friendships, romantic, business, clients, whatever, one-on-one relationship. Somebody could come in and trigger the hell out of you. Go in within, get aligned first. Try not to burn the house down, even though that's what I kind of appreciate about you guys. At the same time, don't suppress yourself, but there's a way to kind of speak more so with your truth, from integrity, from a place of just knowing who you really are and what you want. And so you can find that balance, so you can be fine with speaking your truth and know whoever's meant to be on your side and to be merging and just in that synchronistic flow with you. They'll be there. There's something with frequency with relationships right now where, the right relationships are making you feel uplifted and excited to be you. And they're kind of getting you motivated in the right directions. And the ones that aren't right, that you're kind of, meant to go adjust or cut out, possibly, because Mars does cut things out. Where they're not making you feel good. So it's definitely important to recognize that this is kind of where you're just allowing more of yourself in. So surrendering all the egos, all the false selves. And all the false selves are, we put up this mask and we're this version of us because of whatever happened. And we don't realize that we do this, but it is a protection mechanism as we come up in life. So you're seeing where you can soften and where you can release even more so to your higher self, and to just have more faith in the universe. Allowance came out. So there's some sort of just allowance coming here, having with Neptune here, you can have more compassion for everybody's journey. And you just, allowance accepts, or let's read it, allowance. So allowance invites us to be open whenever or to whatever comes our way, without judgment, without opinion, without fear, and without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wonder and stance of existence and expansion. So yeah, you're expanding to the next level. And you're going to be doing that by really getting into your body and your intuition and listening to that yes and that no. Because our body knows where we're going and what will make us feel good. And that's when, so when you feel that, go say yes, go in that direction. And that usually takes us in a direction of like the most expansion, but also at the same time, the plan is going to look completely different than what we ever thought. So allow yourself to let like any people or situations kind of come into your life to allow more of that expansion. And dynamic came out. You got to be dynamic with this. You're kind of getting more dynamic and more in flow, versus, when Saturn and Neptune were in your 12th house, you were probably more isolated and probably, reflective and kind of just like stuck for a little bit. But now you're coming out like this whole new version of you. And you got to allow yourself to be dynamic again, to really trust yourself and that spark and that instant knowing that you have more than anybody. Yes, no, like immediately. So the frequency of dynamic supports our ability to harmonize between layers and aspects of different origin and frequency. It helps us to put together a reality that is made up of many different elements, both familiar and completely new, with ease, grace, and great joy. Yeah, you got to allow yourself to be dynamic again, to allow in the new. But yeah, there might be somebody envious, with this Mars in the 7th house. And, if you'll know if they are, and if you'll know where to put the boundaries. And I would hate for anyone to get on an Aries bad side, like during this transit, but you do what you got to do, but know that you are protected. Call your power back, cut the cords, soul retrieval. Yep, you're bringing all the focus back to you in such a big way right now. So you can be literally a powerhouse in this new era. And I'm very excited for you. All right. Thank you so much, Aries. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Taurus. Okay, so this is happening in your 10th house, which has to do with your career, your long-term goals, your long-range vision, and your legacy. Who are you out in the world? What is your career? What is your reputation? What is your public image? What are you known for? And the spotlight is here to bring you some alignment. You could be awakening to a whole new way that you really want to be out in the world. You could be seeing how you can up level and go to the next, go to the next stage. If you do want that raise, if you do want that promotion, if you do want to start your business. With Pluto in the 10th house, we're being like called in a deeply soulfully fulfilling direction. And we do have to listen to that. And that does require us evolving out of any fears or any ways we held ourselves back from really truly being who we are out in the world, and then listening to that higher calling. Because Saturn and Neptune in the 12th house, where our channel is opening up in such a massive way right now, where we're clearing out the past, and so we can really listen to our higher selves and to our imagination, to receive those higher messages of what we can bring out into the world, actually. And with this nice air trine here, yeah, there's just major movement when it comes to your career, where you can make money and be more free. You can you can have work and daily routines that is really balanced and fair for you and for everybody else. With Saturn and Neptune in the 12th house, opposite Mars in the 6th, there could be some confrontation in your everyday life. And maybe, the 6th house is where we take on karmic relationships sometimes, where we need to realize we need to evolve out of a certain pattern or habit, that we were unaware of that we were in. And this is the 12th house is more subconsciously, like from a story that we were telling ourselves that kept us limited. And then the 6th house is physically, where we can massively go through like a rebalancing. Maybe there was a way that we were just unconscious of how of how we were creating our reality, where we can be more powerful manifestors in our everyday life and have the right relationships around us. But this really screams like I mean, you could definitely be receiving like some sort of business idea or some sort of insight from the other side with what direction you should actually be going in, that is actually for your highest good. Because there could be a lot of stories just shedding and being released from the past. And, you know, like we can, and it put a cap on our full potential. And yeah, just our full potential with who we're really, really supposed to be out in the world and how we can be that most powerful, most authentic version of ourselves out in the world. And I like, Mercury that just went retrograde in the fourth house, so there's kind of a back and forth with who you are in the world and then home and family. So, what do you need for this nice, solid foundation to have, just a creative zone in your at home? And maybe you needed to move things around the house, maybe you needed more structure, maybe the responsibilities needed to be delegated around the house, and this is the time where you can have that conversation, so you're not taking on too much work or whatever. But this is, yeah, planting deep roots so you can show up out in the world in a whole new way. So with this full moon, what do you need to release that's no longer in alignment, either with career? What is that deeper calling that your soul is calling you towards? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel inspiration? Do you feel fueled, when it comes to your work? Because that's the only way Pluto is going to be happy in the 10th house, is when you have that drive and it is giving you that soulful evolution out in the world. So divine feminine came out for you, and I love that. The frequency of divine feminine supports our receptive, nurturing soft side, allowing it to express itself openly and help us to connect with our intrinsic understanding of our connection to all creation. Yeah, that's what you're getting in tune with, like the bigger aspects of creation and all that is. And it's not like you don't know it. You don't like figure it out in your head. You're going to feel it in your body. And you might just feel like certain directions that you want to be called in, or certain decisions that you want to make because it feels good in your body. And that's what you have to listen to, because you're a big channel for, the bigger essence of the divine feminine that wants to come in. So definitely listen to those nudges and the urges. You're kind of supposed to be random when you're taking like creative risks with making money, like, starting that creative project, starting that revolutionary idea so you can have an abundant income flow. And with Uranus in this second house, money just is the energy. And if you just focus on money, that can actually lower your consciousness when you're supposed to be awakening your consciousness to the next level, with more embodiment. So as long as you're more so focused on your soulful growth and evolution, and that is the primary versus the money, that's how the money will come. So focus on your bigger soulful essence and the divine feminine that wants to flow through you, the creative energy that wants to flow through you to make your life easy, to make your life abundant and in flow and passionate with doing what you really love to do. So no, this might take a leap. You might be even called to take a leap, but know that the universe will catch you. If you're feeling that yes, in your body, and that is an indicator of what you'll be feeling in the future if you take that leap. So even if it sounds scary or whatever, do it. You are being called to be the magician, and the magician already has all the tools that it needs to make magic happen out in the world. And it's just about recognizing, balancing out the spiritual and the material in a big way, so you can make more magic happen out in the world. All right. Thank you so much, Taurus. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Gemini. Okay. So I'm excited for you guys. I mean, I love this air trine getting lit up. You are rebellious. You are doing what you want to do. And that is the energy of this new era. So your ninth house is being lit up though. The ninth house is about our philosophies, it's spirituality, it's what we believe in life, how we, yeah, and our beliefs create our reality. So whatever we believe about life is what gets created in our reality. And this is kind of like an update to break out to the next level. You could be receiving messages from your higher self or just random information that comes your way that really just broadens like your perspective about reality. You know, this looks like majorly an awakening, but also an alignment towards your higher timeline, because the ninth house is the Dharma timeline. It's the timeline that we can jump on for more fun, more excitement, so we can live out our meaning and purpose in life. And when we're doing that, we feel very fulfilled. So there can be some sort of new topic of interest that comes that you get excited about, you know, learning astrology, learning tarot, learning human design, gene keys, whatever, traveling the world. And doing that can open up you to the next level of what you can explore in this world experience that we're in, because there's unlimited things that we can really live out. And as long as you're letting yourself kind of, evolve to the next level of what you believe, what life you believe you can live, then magic is going to happen out in your reality. So I love, how there's this nice air trine going on with Pluto. There could be a transformation with your beliefs, but you're following that deeper soul desire to have that deeper soul evolution when it comes to your beliefs. And Uranus in the first house, you're revolutionary. You're kind of more authentic. You're going to be more rebellious. You're just going to say more of what's on your mind versus like holding anything back. You're kind of breaking out of any boxes that were holding you back, so you can extend what's Uranus? I don't know. Uranus is more like awakening and just like boom, like you are that next version of yourself. So like just like letting yourself be like more of that version of yourself that is like so like someone that you've always wanted to be, because Uranus in the 12th house, you've had time thinking about it, and now it's in the first house. It's like we're being it now, and who cares what people think. By you being more of you, you're going to find more of the passions and more of the people that are resonating with you, and you're going to be more so on your Dharma timeline. You're going to wake up your creativity even more so. I will say with this Saturn Neptune opposite with Mars, there could have been frustration with friends, like what's fun to you now? What's fun to the group? Are you guys going in the same direction? Is there a realignment happening here with you kind of embodying more of your authentic self? Does everyone appreciate it? Not everyone has to appreciate it, but you have to get more so in alignment with that vision, your hopes and your dreams and your visions, and you're receiving big inspirational dreams and visions of what you can achieve next. And it's time for you to be bold and confident with that, so you find people that also like pump you up in that direction. So maybe a friend could be exiting around this time, or just be triggering. Maybe somebody comes in and is a little triggering, but it does open you up to a wider perspective of what you can possibly achieve out in the world. And then, because this could be releasing, an ego. This could just be, just opening you up to more of your higher self, of what you thought you possibly could ever achieve. And now you're realizing how much more you could achieve. So I really, really, really love this actually for, for Gemini. You are a master manifester, and it's time to really hone into that energy so you can make abundance happen and just live out your Dharma timeline. Okay, so conception came out. And I will say, pay attention to your body when it comes to your friendships. Do they feel good to hang out with? Are they weighing you down? Like, then that's a no. That's your body saying, like, cut that person out. And if they feel good, if they feel uplifting, and your body is saying yes, and and not only with friends, but saying yes to this move out on social media, or to go to this concert, or to go after this dream, then that's the direction you want to go in. You just want to, your body knows already, and it's sending you the signal that will make you feel more expansive and more alive and more inspired. So release, this could be an adjustment of beliefs. So you release any beliefs, or what you thought about the world, so you can have that more upgraded in knowing of what the world is now. Okay, so conception came out. The frequency of conception invites us to bring our consciousness into our origin, the place where everything in creation begins. It helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of this space. And we can manifest through our own focused awareness and intention. Yeah, with Saturn and Neptune here in the 11th house, and after this Mercury retrograde, like, your intention and having intention in your everyday life is very, very important. That's how you're going to make all your hopes and dreams come true. So it's okay. It's good. This is a good moon to, like, set up the boundaries, so you truly believe that you can create whatever you want to create. And yeah, like, set that as the standard. I don't know. Put that on the vision board. Put that as what you're manifesting, no matter what. You believe it now, you can go do it. Okay, so sacral chakra. The frequency of sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates our creative power to manifest success and abundance in our life. You're being called to create something, definitely. You're going to feel that impulse. You're going to feel that passion and that desire to create something. So follow that. That's aligning you, because you might be, there's a place in your life where you might be so fragmented and not aligning to who you fully authentically are, and your minds and your words and your body aren't, like, all in alignment. And the more that you can get that all into alignment, the more you will be able to create. And know that you're already doing it. Stop overthinking, face your true north. Yeah, get into your body, because your body knows over your mind. The mind is where we can get fragmented and not fully listen to where we're really supposed to go. So if you're in your mind about anything, whether it's a relationship or a job or something, that's usually where we're not aligned. So if you have a tendency to go in your head and constantly think things out about something in your life, that's where you're not aligned. Okay. So that's where you can kind of let go and make a change, because there's something that wants to really birth through you right now. And you have to allow the space for that. And know that you're already doing it. You just got to, do less thinking about it and just do it. All right. Thank you so much, Gemini. Hi, Cancer. Okay, so this is happening in your 8th house. This is the darker area of life. So definitely our fears and doubts and anxieties, and the ways we attach to people and relationships. And yeah, all those deeper things can definitely be coming up around this time. Anywhere where we're down here in doubt, blame, worry, discouragement, anger, revenge, jealousy, whatever, like that, any of that coming up right now, any of that being highlighted is showing where you suppressed more of your authentic self, where you actually kept yourself small. So your ego is trying to fall away, and you're going through an internal death and rebirth. So you can step into this bigger version of you that is not letting the fears and the doubts and the worries, hold you back. So this is a good full moon to journal and really do that internal work, so you can release any, recognize where you held yourself back. And it could be because of relationships or society or programming or whatever, where you can actually go after your desires, where you can transform that feeling, feel that feeling, so you can get that joy, that inspiration, that enthusiasm, that passion, and that freedom and that creativity ultimately. Because this is where you're getting massively freed. And this is a deep internal moon for you, but you're going through a purge like no other, like all the water signs, like with this air trine happening, it just looks like, whoa, so don't be, if you are emotionally chaotic this week, it needs to happen, because on the other side, you are liberated as fuck, so let yourself like go through that internal transformation. With Uranus in the 12th, you're receiving those instant light bulbs and awakenings, from your higher self, and that higher knowledge on the other side that is making you see the bigger picture. And, when you see that, you stop caring about all the stupid reasons why you suppressed yourself in the first place. So that majorly lets you go through this transformation and to face a lot of the fears when it comes to, the ways, the insecurities in our relationships and who we attach to, and the ways we invest our money. And just the way we allow ourselves to be receptive, even because when we're too clogged up in the 8th house, sometimes we can't be receptive. And it's how we stop ourselves from the manifestations. We can look back at the past and recognize where we got an opportunity or something just came into our lives and we put up a wall. We weren't ready yet. We felt like not ready yet. So this is going through a major, just like bing, bong, boom, like cleanse, to really just clear out whatever has been holding you back. Because you you are expanding to the next level with Venus and Jupiter in your first house. You are getting in tune with that innate wisdom in your body. You're feeling it, you're feeling good, and you're feeling optimistic, and you're feeling nostalgic, and you're feeling and feeling and feeling lots of feelings this week for sure. But that's what's going to get you into the most alignment for that biggest expansion. And that you're going to feel that in that knowing, in your heart and your soul, with what's meant for you, And when it comes to your career, your 10th house, Saturn and Neptune, maybe there's conflict with career and family, home and family, needing to find a balance. Like, are you working too much? Do you need to be at home more? Does everyone in your family like what you're doing out in the world? It doesn't matter. Like, you kind of need to just be really passionate about whatever you're doing. But Saturn and Neptune is kind of releasing old roles and old career things and old ways that you were out in the world that are no longer aligning with that bigger version of you. This is where you can release all the stories of what you have been in the past. So it's time to tell yourself the new story that is empowering and inspirational and more like just aligned with that bigger version of you that you're getting connected with in such an intense way right now. So you can allow yourself to go to the next level. Because what else was I going to say? Saturn and Neptune, crap, it was right there. When something's like coming in and it's right there and it's just didn't come fully there yet. One sec. Oh yeah, you're going to feel it in your body. You're going to feel like there could be just too much like structure and just like roles that you've taken on and ways of being there for everybody and everyone, where you kind of need to be selfish again, where you kind of need it to bring it back to you and find that balance. If you have been caretaking of everyone and trying to please everybody and be the nurturer of everybody, this is where you got to bring it back to yourself. Because when we give and we give and we give, we get, angry. Like, our internal selves gets angry and it gets resentful because it knows like you're getting out of your own alignment. So this is where you're getting into more of your true alignment. And maybe the trigger comes through relationships and everything, but that's so we release the old story. That's so we release ways of showing up out in the world that weren't actually serving us. So you can really, be so much more so in your own alignment. And making big, bold career moves and showing up how you want to show up out in the world and taking on the responsibilities that feel right for you. Even though Saturn's here, you can take on responsibilities and goals that make you feel uplifted and make you feel excited. And then that's the direction that you're meant to go in. So really feel it in your body. If you're getting, an inspirational yes to go in a certain direction, that's the direction that you want to go in. Your body knows first, and then get out of your head, because there could be big aspirational things that are coming to you and you might be freaked out with it. But if your body's saying yes, go towards it. And it could be like a career change or something, but we're releasing all the big fears so you can show up more boldly out in the world. Or not like all the fears, because we're going to be we evolve. We're going to be evolving throughout our entire lives. But the most recent fear and block that was holding you back. So yeah, definitely be kind to yourself this week, because you're feeling a lot, but this is like that big internal transformation to the core of who you are for that ultimate alignment and awakening, so you can make more magic happen out in the world. So fertility came out. Definitely a creative idea wants to come out. Also, with Jupiter and Venus in the first house, you could easily get pregnant right now. So if you want that, know that that can happen very easily. Frequency of fertility invites us to be more open, courageous, more creative, more joyful than we were before. It activates the potential for something beautiful to grow from the consciousness into a grander expression of ourselves. Yeah, I think maybe you have a passionate idea and you've wanted to always do that, but you've needed that courage to really take it to the next level. You're planting seeds for that. And we do that sometimes little by little, or sometimes taking a leap, but you got to allow that creative direction to really come through you. And yeah, like yesterday, I finally I'm like, wait, I just got it. You get it like a spark, and I started making TikToks that was just for one sign and just slow, because I feel like slow content is more attractive now, slowing down versus because Jupiter was in Gemini, where it's like fast, like short form content. And if it's not fast, then then nobody pays attention. And I was speaking so fast. I have a Taurus in Mercury, and I feel like me pushing so hard to speak fast was actually kind of annoying. So, but when I channel, I do creative energy comes out fast anyway. But anyway, you listen to that creative spark. You don't know where it's going to take you at the end of the day, but you try something new, you do something different, and then it just is what it's meant to be. And that's what's trying to come through you right now. So more allowance, there is power with surrendering right now, with Neptune on Saturn in the 10th house, with clearing out where you held yourself back. You can just you can just let things be what they need to be, and know that at the end of the day, that's just how it's supposed to be. We kind of need to get more into just being. But let me read allowance. Allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way, without judgment, without opinion, without fear, without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. So yeah, there's things and that might be coming into your life right now where it's asking you to just allow, and allow in a way where you are just so in tune with your core, which you will be to a whole nother level now, that you just know what's right for you and what's not right for you, but you're allowing and you're trusting, and you can take that leap, take that whatever, and yeah, let it happen. Fifth chakra, you might be speaking up in a whole new way. Yep, Mercury retrograde in Leo. You could clear out all the blocks in this throat chakra and just be authentic, be bold, speak your reality, think your reality. Write your reality. Inner temple, devotion, tune into the portal of your heart in transformation. Things are changing at a cellular, deep healing level. Yeah, recognize the deep purge that's just going in internally, and you don't have to be consciously aware of it or thinking it out. Like, you just have to feel it and go through that, knowing in your body and everything. And take care of your heart and your inner temple. And really listen to your heart with this one, because I think you could get like insane just guidance from the other side and from multiple dimensions up, actually. And that would kind of make sense with Uranus in the 12th house. All right. Thank you so much, Cancer. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Leo. Okay, so this is a full moon in your 7th house, and this has to deal with your relationships. This is romantic, business, partnerships, friendships. How do you show up in your relationships, and what can you release so you can have that powerful evolution in your relationships? How can you show up more authentically? Caring less about what people think, because at the end of the day, we had this Mercury retrograde in the 1st house. We shed old identities, old roles, old ways that we showed up. And we're coming into more alignment with who we truly are from the inside and bringing it outside. And the more that we do that, we're showing up as who we authentically are. We're letting our freak flag shine and going after our passions and not like dimming our light for anyone. And then living out our truth is how we can show up the best, and how we can kind of soften and like be open to everybody's perspective and everybody's beliefs about the way they do things a certain way or the way they view the world. That can actually open us up, because there can definitely be debates during this time about whatever you believe in and whatever they believe in, and maybe somebody comes your way. And it's important to kind of just open up and be open to their point of view, because actually we don't know everything. And the only thing that gets like annoying, like with a Leo, and I have to stop myself sometimes from doing this, because I also have a freaking preachy Sagittarius moon. So we do not know everything. We are students of the cosmos the entire time that that Neptune is in the 9th house. So the more that we can be open to other people's perspectives and just not getting into a debate right away, we can kind of release. Like, maybe we thought somebody viewed things in a certain way, or people, somebody, like, it can be a completely different perspective than what we were actually thinking. So it's important to really be open. We don't know why people do the things that they do. And with Pluto and Aquarius, we are dealing with insanely stubborn people, either with their ideologies or with the way they live life, or, just certain things. Like, we can deal with extremely stubborn people that aren't flexible, and maybe we're trying to show them something. But the only way that we're going to be able to show them something is by us being fully in our light, living out our best life, being in our confidence, being in our radiance, and manifesting like crazy. Because with Neptune here, we can definitely manifest so easily. We can believe in the Delulu things, but we have to get our attention there and our beliefs there, and releasing anything that's making us not believe in the things that we can manifest. I've noticed since Neptune has gone retrograde, the fire of like being able to believe that I can manifest anything has dimmed down. So it is a little bit more work, and I do have to like turn on music to get myself pumped up and like high vibe. Not that you necessarily even have to be high vibe to manifest what you want, but it does make it come in a lot faster, and I'm impatient. So like, I can easily get a damper a lot easier with, with Neptune and Saturn retrograde. So this is our time to really like believe in what we believe, but at the same time, be open to what else the universe wants to teach us, so we can see this bigger vision, so we can be excited about being students of this matrix of the universe, of whatever else wants to come in. And we are insanely psychic, like we never have been in our entire lives right now. So anything that we actually really want to know is going to come from within. It's going to come from our heart and our inner knowing. And that is the most important thing versus facts and information, which means fucking shit, especially because we're in this fucking 3D, lower reality that we're in, where we will never know everything that there is to know here, but we do know from the inner knowing. And we kind of have to listen to that inner knowing in our heart. And that's going to be the most powerful and the most expansive for us. So we can plant seeds from our heart, from love. And that's how we will be able to expand the most. That's how we will uplift ourselves. And that's how we'll uplift other people and, kind of be the shining, radiant light of love and leadership that we're meant to be out in the world. I don't know. We just kind of are, because Neptune and Saturn in the ninth house. We don't want to be leaders, but that we are. And the only way to do that in a healthy way is to lead from the heart and lead from opening it up more and more and more. And then that's how we'll find our soul community, because Uranus in the 11th house, there's exciting connections that want to come in. There's a new way of balancing out relationships and the ways we communicate and the ways that we move in our everyday life that can bring in very, very strong, soulfully evolving connections. But yeah, they'll only come in if we're personally attuned to our original frequency. So it's kind of like, just getting to the center of your core in alignment, and then having faith and trust in the universe of whoever's coming your way. They'll just have that natural coherence. Coherence came out. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for an optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. So yeah, you got to manifest from the heart first, then you send it to the mind. That's how it's supposed to work. It doesn't start from the mind, then go to the heart. Backwards. You got to start from the heart with whatever you want to manifest. Receive these insanely big, loud messages from the other side with where you're supposed to go and what feels true to you. So you can get your mind to start manifesting it by robotically affirming it. And then let it come in really, really fast, but yeah, starts from the heart, then goes to the mind. Compassion, have compassion for everyone, because whoever is going to be sent your way during this time, they probably need some sort of knowledge, and knowledge actually does get spread through frequency also, and not just from our words and from what we say. So the more that you are able to just open up your heart and hold compassion, that's going to give them more knowledge than you saying anything, actually. So compassion supports our ability to stand by others without judgment, and be the divine mediator between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, so that unconditional love can flow from source through the heart and into the world. Yep. And that is actually the more powerful way to kind of be a teacher in this new era. It is more so from frequency, and it's just holding that space of openness and love. So that's what people need more, is that void space, so they can they're feeling the love and they're feeling that resonance, and they know that they're supportive in that way. So it gives them that space to step into themselves, versus, and I have powerful, energy with this too. Actually, the less I say, the better for some, not because I know a lot, and I've learned so many systems, and I've learned so much astrology, and I just have that wisdom in my consciousness right now. And that translates in frequency more so than what I even say. But yeah, I have the power of listening, and for some reason, just holding that space, in Gene Keys, it's my 13 in Gene Keys, holding that space, does a lot more than anything that I would ever say. And some people have that. Maybe you're a Leo. Actually, that is a Leo Gene Key, so you can look and see if you have that one. But a lot of Leo energy, if you look into the Gene Key system, is more so going from that direction or leading from the heart always is always going to be the most empowering. And then letting that coherence and resonance like translate, you know, yeah. So softening, like just soften, just open up more, see how you can embody more of your higher self. And that's how you're going to get across to these strong relationships in the best way. And then also attract in the best relationships that are meant for you. But Akasha came out, so you are being divinely guided. Like if there was a Akasha transit, that would be Venus and Jupiter in the 12th house. You are getting in touch with your lifetimes and just the Akasha in general in such a powerful way. And you got to trust that. The more that you do, your solar plexus, the third chakra, is going through, everyone's is going through like a transformation right now. But this gets empowered by you being able to stand in your full embodiment and in your full frequency. And then you'll get those urges like, what are you passionate about? What are you excited about? How to take action in relationships, how to take action in anything that you can start to trust more and more so. And you're going to be feeling it in your body. And that's how you follow the frequency. If you didn't watch the beginning of this, you feel the frequency in your body first, and that's how you take action, because that's how you're going to feel if you take action, if you're getting that yes in your body versus in the mind. All right. Thank you so much, Leo. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Virgo. Okay, so this is happening in your sixth house. So the sixth house is where we evolve out of physical karma. So this could be habits or routines that we're kind of stuck in our everyday life that aren't like elevating us to the highest level. This is also your diet and your health and your exercise. There's some way that you are freeing yourself possibly from old work or old habits that aren't actually serving you. So you can go through this massive transformation and evolution with your working career with this nice air trine going on. It's insane. Like, I love this. You know, there's a way that you're driven towards money to make more money. And this could be like, you know, through, you know, a client or a business idea, a creative idea that can free you out in the world. With Uranus in the 10th house, you're kind of meant to be more innovative, more rebellious, more following those lightning bolts of insights and inspiration and awakening to what feels really right for you in your path. So you go in the right direction. That is ultimately setting you free and allowing you to be a trailblazer out in the world. So yeah, if you get a creative, just a download to, you know, implement something in your business or try something or go on a different path, try it. You have to, or you don't have to, but you trust it, you know, because you are being rewarded out in the world in general with, you know, Venus and Neptune in your 11th house. Money could easily be coming your way. And, but also this is like you receiving a download, you know, for that money. But yeah, this could definitely have to do with relationships. You know, this was a tough Mercury retrograde for you with Mercury going retrograde in the 12th. Maybe there was something you didn't see. Maybe there was a subconscious story you were telling yourself that is being revealed right now. And with Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune in the 8th, there could be a lot of tension when it comes to the 8th house is shared finances. It's the way we merge with people in depth. It's like those, you know, it could be a business relationship, but it could be the romantic relationships where sometimes we put off saying things or having those conversations because we know it's going to be a blow up. But this is where you do have to just have those conversations, because if you withhold having those conversations, you know, there would be more likely of a chance to have a blow up later, because Venus in Libra is passive and wants to keep the peace, wants to keep the peace. But whenever you do that, it creates that internal chaos and it'll come out eventually, you know? So wherever, you know, there might be internal chaos right now is where things need to be addressed. You know, you need to talk about things, you need to make things more fair, more balanced, and things can magically become more balanced actually, because there's so much support with having a powerful transformation with how you go about your everyday life. And maybe it's just something simple like who does the chores around the house, but also who works, who's doing the work, you know, your work, and how can things be delegated in a better way that is more fair for everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of support to make things run a lot smoother, either in your business or with your coworkers, or even just around the home, that can really set you free in a certain way. So have those conversations that maybe you've wanted to, bring up and talk about. You could also awaken to a whole new way of being aligned, mind, body, spirit. So you're just like more, all in coherence, because the more that you do that, the more you become kind of that antenna at that right frequency to attract everything to you. So follow any health things that might kind of help you live in a better way, mind, body, spirit, every day, and then releasing what work and routines just aren't meant for you. Yeah, so the temple path came out. You might be getting a lot of signs and synchronicities in your everyday life, and this could be, leading you to where you're really supposed to be, and what you're supposed to be doing, or more communication, or just inspiration. So communication came out. The frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many different forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, both incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of our truth, to stay in flow with source and balanced energy. So yeah, you can definitely, massive triggers can definitely come up when the 8th house is triggered. And that's when we stuffed things down here. So we might be feeling revenge, hate, jealousy, guilt, shame, blame, worry, projections, insecurity, fear. Isn't it funny? Insecurity is so low, where we're feeling any of that. This is where you suppress your soulful self, the bigger soulful self that wants to come through right now. So if you're feeling any of that, definitely, get to the center of why you're feeling that, because when you do, you can really transform those feelings to feel more passionate, to feel more joyful and inspiration, because you can make a change. So you can be more powerful in your relationships or out in the world. And yeah, just really free yourself, because at the end of the day, this is where you can free yourself from those denser emotions and be embodied more so with your full on life force. And don't hold yourself back out of people pleasing or taking on too much work, or thinking you can, or doing all the work, like Virgos tend to do, because with 8th house, Aries ruling the 8th house, like you just feel empowered to do everything yourself for everyone, but you're being asked to balance it out and not take on all the work. Even though you probably do it the best. be patient, like open up, like people need to learn what they need to learn also. And sometimes it does happen through just a little chore or responsibility. So, and they need to figure out how to do it in a way that is going to be best for them. So let them surrender. See where you can surrender, especially with the temple path. If you're getting signs and synchronicities, like you need to follow your own alignment, and that's where you will be the most powerful, empower others. And yeah, you're getting messages. So Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, the divine plan. There's a bigger plan at play that maybe you get some awareness of, that can, oh, I forgot these cards, you can have that inner knowing with, and you'll have that inner knowing through your emotions and in your body. With Saturn and Neptune, it's really asking you to trust how you feel in your body, and then to make the decisions from there. Like your intuition in your body is really, really strong right now. So if it's a no and you're feeling heavy, like in your body, then it's a no, like cut it off. If you're feeling inspired and excited, then that's your body giving you information that you're going to be excited, making this change, making this decision, and going in that direction. Because yeah, abundance wants to come in, a ton of abundance, cornucopia, especially with Neptune in the 8th, and it can come from anywhere. You just have to be open to it, and then trust your intuition and the source flowing through you to guide you in the right direction. All right. Thank you so much, Virgo. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Libra. Ooh, ooh, ooh. This is a little tense for you, especially just because you tend to put everyone else first. And now you got to put yourself first. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You are the people pleasers. It's no more people pleasing anymore. You have to really get into yourself and how you're feeling and let things balance out. It's really important to pay attention how you're feeling in your relationships, in your body, not your mind. What does your body say about these relationships? Do they make you feel heavy? Do they bring a bad vibe? Does your body say, yes, you want to hang out with them, or no? You have to listen to your body to figure that out and really trust it. Because you might have to draw a boundary. You know, Saturn in the seventh house, it's asking you to put up boundaries for people that might not be valuing, you know, the time and energy that you're giving them. You know, you can have a beautiful, magical relationship with Neptune in the seventh, but you really have to face reality whenever you get that red flag. And you could get a red flag, not to be a doomer, like, you know, but like it could be, you could get a red flag, and it's important to really take that seriously. You could also just need to draw a boundary, you know. Maybe you do need to cut somebody out, but it's boundaries of love, you know. It's very important to you put a lot of time for you to put a lot of time in self-love and self-care, and ask yourself, do they treat you as well as you treat yourself, you know? So bring the focus back to you. You know, Mars in your first house, you got to focus on you and your hopes, your dreams, your ambitions. And then from there, see what relationships are just like aligning with you right now. And then you can make those adjustments, have those serious conversations, find, yeah, you know, because Neptune and Saturn is, maybe you've taken on roles and identities in your relationships and showed up in a certain way in your relationships before, but it's not like who you truly are. And then, you know, when you create that misalignment with showing up in a certain way, okay, so, or yeah, I listened to this girl on this podcast the other day, and there's something like where you can give so much in relationships and you put all of them first and you don't consider yourself. Libras have the biggest problem with this. And I have a kind of a problem with this too, because I have so much in Taurus. So you want everybody to be happy. You're extra sensory aware of when somebody's not happy and how to make things more balanced, and then seeing all perspectives. But right now you have to kind of put yourself first and then like see which relationships are lining up with you. Because if you're putting them first to the point where you start feeling that rage and that resentment and that frustration and that wanting to escape, and then that's your time to really get back into yourself and to see why, like really let it go, be in the void space for a little bit. Don't immediately reach out to them, and let yourself kind of see who you really are, and like let more of yourself like kind of come through. And I mean, you're being set free at the end of the day, because Uranus trine Mars trine Pluto, this can be a powerful evolution in love, actually. With Mars trine Pluto, you're passionate, like you're feeling, you know, that intense creative energy, and it could be towards your creative projects, or it could be towards a significant relationship. But you can go through a transformation where maybe you release the ways that you were attaching too much in relationships out of fear, you know, and when you bring it back to yourself and your own self-love, and know that the right relationships will be there always anyway, then you can, you know, have that trust and faith and surrender in the universe. And at the end of the day, you letting more of your higher self in and more of your authentic self in is going to be helpful for everybody. And then with Uranus training, sorry, my voice just got annoying real quick. With Mars training Uranus, like this just says like random instant like vacation or something. Like this says like maybe going on a random vacation to a foreign country, meeting somebody. It's exciting. You get married, you move, and you start a whole new life, but it ends up working out well. I don't know. It's like an impulse decision that kind of leads you that in a broader direction that frees you, that is kind of exciting, and it ends up working out in your favor. So this is kind of very exciting. I love it. So tension with relationships, but you're being redirected towards the right ones, so you can receive that reward and recognition, and ultimately expansion onto your higher dharma timeline out in the world. So you are very lucky right now, actually, because your ruler is conjuncting Jupiter. So you got to focus on where you're expanding, what is that internal wisdom that you're getting within yourself. And don't stop wasting time on people that don't appreciate you. Put the boundaries up with people that don't appreciate you or don't see your vision. They are just weighing down your frequency, weighing down your vibe. Because especially with this Mercury retrograde, you might be just cutting out some friends or putting up boundaries of love. They can always come back, but it's you time right now. So you can find that lucky timeline in the lucky relationships that really want to come your way. Okay, so take a break. Yep. Take a pause, take a break. What do you want in relationships? This is where you're getting internally aligned with what you want. A life's work and that's where you'll get that wisdom too, with Jupiter and Venus conjunct in the 10th house. You got to go within, take a pause. Cardinal signs are always moving. I'm jealous of cardinal signs because they move so fast and they start things so fast. I have so much fixed. I don't. But this is your time to take a pause for that ultimate alignment, to get that soul wisdom with where you're supposed to go, and what actions can you take that are going to be best for you, that make you feel the most expansive and the most light and the most optimistic. And that's the direction that you want to go in, because you want to be embodied more, but it's in that light direction that feels exciting. So take a break. Life's work is not a season. Get off the treadmill. Some of you might be working way too hard. Rest and rejuvenation. Yeah. You receive those messages. And divine feminine energy. Yeah, because divine feminine energy wants to flow through you massively right now. So you kind of get that guidance with where you're supposed to go. And that's like just where we're mostly misaligned in the world, it's because we don't take a break and get that guidance before we take action. And it causes us to force and force and force and force. And wherever we're forcing is where we're sacrificing somewhere else in our life. And it does lead to sickness or burnout or whatever. So you need to be receptive and listen to your inner voice and your body and your intuition, where that's really calling you. So the frequency of divine feminine supports our receptive, nurturing, and soft-sided, allowing it to express itself openly. Allowing it to express itself openly and helping us to connect with our intrinsic understanding of our connection to all creation. Yeah, you're just feeling that connection to all creation right now. And I think it'll lead you in this bigger direction of where you're supposed to go. Let's see, mirror. Who or what is triggering you? So yeah, these relationships come in to trigger us at the end of the day because it's a mirror. It's showing us where we haven't held our self-respect or been who we really want to be. They're reflecting something that's within ourselves at the end of the day. You have to go within and see what's in you that is being reflected in this other person that might be frustrating you, so you can be bolder out in the world and be more of who you're really supposed to be. All right, Libra. Oh, wait. Did I even talk about the fifth house? Sorry, I am going way too expansive with this full moon. Okay, wait. So yeah, fifth house, you're releasing, maybe somebody that you're dating if they're not really aligning. Oh my gosh, did I literally just go focus? I did. Okay. I got so sidetracked about talking about yeah, okay, I didn't even talk about the fifth house. Okay, so the full moon is happening in your fifth house. So this is how you love. So you're awakening to more love. And with Aquarius ruling your fifth house, this is like cosmic love. This is higher dimensional love. There is such a thing as unconditional love. Not a lot of it is here. So you can awaken, you can detach, you can bring the power back to yourself. So you can realize that the love will always exist with the right soul connections. It doesn't matter if you break up, it doesn't matter if you stay together, the love will always be there. So you can release the ways that you needed to attach in love, the ways, codependency, or any of the ways that you were, or obsessive, any of the ways that you were too attached in love. So you can have this power evolution in love and bring it back to your self-love. And yeah, that bigger soulful essence of you that is always you and that you always have. So you can run from a place of unconditional love in your relationships. But this is also a powerful time to really hone in your creativity and to express yourself in the ways that you really want to express yourself. If you're interested in something unique and random, follow your passion. That's like the direction that you're meant to go in, to have this soulful evolution, so you know more of who you truly are, so you can radiate it out in the world without caring what anybody else thinks. Also creative projects are really, really powerful for you right now, because Pluto in the fifth house, this kind of reminds me of I don't know Avicii's chart or whatever, but like this kind of seems like he did bring his knowledge of music, from that higher dimension that he was in. And that's why he was so, good here, because he just knew it. He knew it. He knew it. Bigger soulful creativity is being expressed through you right now. And it could be from this lifetime or past this lifetime, but past lifetimes, cosmic type timelines, because it kind of does look like that with, Pluto and Aquarius in the fifth house, where you can connect to your natural talents that you have and your natural creativity, and you discover it, as you spend time on it, as you express it, and it could be like through social media, it could be through art, painting, rap, whatever. Not rap, I don't know. I was just thinking with Mars in Libra, Eminem has that. Whatever your soulful expression is, so you can have that bigger like expansion of who you truly are. All right, thank you so much, Libra, because yeah, the divine feminine energy wants to be expressed through you right now. Basically, shed the ways you are keeping yourself contained from going after what you're truly passionate about, because that'll awaken you to a whole new level like you never have before. All right, thank you so much, Libra. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Scorpio. Okay, so this is a frustrating one for you because, you're dealing with a personal area of life, which is your home and your family, and just the deep, deep past in childhood. So there could be past stories coming up that you're needing to transform and evolve out of and release yourself from. And then Mars, which rules you, is opposite Saturn and Neptune. So you're feeling some block or frustration, when it comes to your everyday life or work or coworkers. There could be just some like extra frustration coming up right now. And at the end of the day, 12th house, 6th house, this is all about evolving out of karma. 12th house is the unconscious stories that we tell ourselves that we're almost unaware of, that we've been programmed by, just subconsciously programmed or whatever, that has been holding us back, whether it comes to building out in the world, or taking on too much responsibility, or whatever ways, like we're realizing we're doing too much, or we're just misaligned, where you can kind of get into your inner self and into your internal world. And you might be having like fiery, ragey dreams, and it could be from past lives too, actually, especially with Neptune, God, intense dreams lately that are just being brought to the surface. And you don't need to rationalize it out, actually, in your mind. It's better if you just feel it in your body. But there's ways that you're being freed, like subconsciously and internally, that's freeing up your body, actually, and freeing up the way you move in your everyday life, in work, and just, with your routines and habits. And, it's like if you had a tough childhood, or if you were, tough childhood, or if you had just domineering parents or whatever, there's so many ways that kind of we get stuck on autopilot of like anxiety and this isn't like a people pleaser thing too, of anxiety and just needing to do and do and do and do and do stuff, just to keep everybody else happy and putting yourself last. That could be that could be something that you're breaking out of, because this would cause you extra like internal rage and unhappiness, where like those emotions are coming up now. So you're recognizing the patterns that you're in your everyday life that you might get sucked into, whether it's through relationships, whether it's through, work, or just a habit. So you can have this personal evolution that literally just frees you, because Saturn, Neptune going retrograde in the sixth house, this is releasing old roles and identities that you've taken on in your everyday life just out of habit. But yeah, the full moon in the fourth house, you could just be clearing out the house. Like, what's in your house anymore that you just need to throw away? Because objects hold energy. And if we're holding objects from like a past version of us, of who we have been, and it's just sitting there taking up space, this is actually your time to like donate it, get rid of it, so you can clear out, so you can make space, so you can make energetic space for something new to really come in. And, this could be a time where you just have that discussion, like in your work or with somebody at home. Maybe you're doing too much around the home, where, the responsibilities need to be delegated a little bit better and a little bit more fairly. But yeah, this is mostly like just an internal core awakening. Like it's almost like a purge and an awakening at the same time. And it's a little like aggressive, but so hang on tight this week. If you can work from home, work from home. If you can work less hours, work less hours. If you can, anything to like pull your energy back into you and to go hermit mode, is the best thing to do, because you don't want to push yourself too hard with this. And it's kind of like you've faced so much rage or whatever you're feeling. It could even just be whatever's like down here in the emotional scale: anger, revenge, hatred, blame, doubt, disappointment, insecurity even keeps you stuck all the way down here on the vibrational scale. Fears, depression, where you just need to get angry. You need to change the pattern. You need to, like, if you're down here, you just need to get angry. If you're insecure, you just need to get mad. You just need to get, like, where's mad? Anger. Anger's down here. Okay. So at least, it gets you up here, and then it gets you up, like you start going up here, so you can feel like passion and excitement and everything. But yeah, this just looks, okay, Uranus is just shocking you out of like these denser emotions. So don't blame yourself if they're coming up. You're meant to be purging them right now. Feeling them, purging them, you're freeing yourself from them. It's just stuff stuck in your body, and maybe even stuck in your fascia. Your fascia contains those emotional feelings, so that's why it's important to move your body, to really, be loose and be a little bit like, soft in your body, because otherwise, like wherever you're holding that tenseness is where you're storing those emotions too. Where, yeah, you could just go through a major like transformation and purge. And when you go through that in your body, you get so massively freed. Like you see the world in a completely different way. And you don't even realize like how you were viewing things in such a different way because of the past or childhood or subconscious perspectives or the emotions that you were clinging onto, that you're just being freed from this week. And it's going to feel a lot lighter on the other side. So be very, very calm this week, especially with Mercury retrograde in the 10th. You're meant to kind of be pausing at work and not going full force at work. So yeah, you just take a beat. Let yourself go through this purge. Emergence. If there was a card to really come out for you guys, because you are getting emerged, you're emerging in a whole new way. There's a dragon card that I have that has an emergence, and I love it. The frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, and to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. Yeah, so you're kind of getting back to your inner child, it's kind of like releasing the serious adult stuff so you can get like back into the core of who you truly are at that soulful level, which is more like your inner child. So you can let that version of you come out and be powerful out in the world. Keepers of Earth, you are not alone. Ancient ancestors are standing beside you. You could definitely get strong messages from the other side that also for you and, make you remember who you truly are. But yeah, you're going through a burning heart emergence, like burning whatever stories are not serving you anymore, burning whatever, ways of being that aren't serving you anymore. So you can go through a cleanse, with Mars going through the 12th house. It's like, this is where you let go of big karmic cycles. And this happens once every 2 years. Big karmic cycles and routines and whatever this last cycle was that you took on that you're done with, and you're connecting with oneness. So that's the nice thing with Mars in the 12th house. You can more so connect to oneness and unity and compassion and the other side, to receive messages, to realize that everything is a lot bigger than the 3D reality that we're currently in, where you can kind of widen your perspective and have that inner knowing, and when you let yourself do that, you just feel so much more powerful at the core of who you are. And this just looks like a amplified frequency, like you're just like, it kind of seems like you're like a tuning fork right now, and maybe you just get bashed really hard. Like, hopefully not actually, probably not actually. This is just much more internally. Like, you just get awakened, and you just like buzz, and it's just like, letting your frequency just come out full force now. So very exciting. I really like that. So let yourself purge, let yourself cry. Sometimes, like Scorpio energy, if you have trouble crying, you can watch something that makes you cry, like a sad movie that always made you cry or something, to get it going. So you let yourself cry. So, because actually when you let yourself cry, your body literally purges. Like, it's like your chemically things change. And you like let out that internal pressure that was like stored in your body. Let yourself go through that. Any random healing sessions, Reiki, even, follow whatever your body is telling you to do, and that will be the right thing to do. And yeah, not to make it sound dramatic, because it's very, freeing at the end of the day. But like, take it easy this week, and that's it. And then you'll feel like a million times lighter, and like you're on cloud 9 after. And here's where the good stuff is. Venus and Jupiter in the 9th house. Whatever you're letting go of, whatever you're purging, and maybe it is a routine, maybe it is a person, maybe it is like just some heaviness that you've taken on that you need to let go of. Listen to your body with what feels the most expansive and what feels like a no now. You're being redirected in a really big way with Venus and Jupiter in the 9th house. A bigger mission, a bigger vision. You're going on an adventure towards the unknown. And this adventure will lead you to a different perspective of seeing the world, and maybe even a different story to experience and a different life to experience, and it's leading you towards your Dharma timeline, which will feel the most expansive and lucky and exciting, and have abundant relationships, and you'll just have a lot more ease and flow. So whatever you're letting go of, cut it out. It's not for you. You're meant for bigger and better things, and you'll feel that optimism at the same time. So trust the wisdom that your body has for you, if you watch the beginning of this, like if your body says yes and you're feeling excited about something and passionate, that's your body trying to get you in a certain direction. If your body's like, you're just feeling tense, like that's probably something you need to cut out. All right. Thank you so much, Scorpio. Hi, Sagittarius. Okay, so this looks like a consciousness upgrade for sure. This looks like a awakening. Because this is happening in your third house, which has to do with your mindset and what you think, most regularly on your everyday basis, the way you speak to yourself, the way you just speak in general. What are you thinking? What are you digesting? Also, whether it's podcasts or scrolling or whatever. What do you do in your everyday life? And what can you let go of to go through a higher evolution with what you do in your everyday life to manifest your best reality? Because the third house is all about being, it's very important to be intentional with the third house because we can get scattered all over the place, especially with this day and age. There's a million social medias, there's a million things to do, but we can get really focused with manifesting what's really manifesting, just manifesting every single day. We should be manifesting and be very intentional with what we want to do on a daily basis. And is it leading towards our hopes and our dreams and our aspirations and our bigger vision? After you just had this Mercury retrograde in the ninth house, you're connecting to meaning and purpose and what you believe in about life. And you're connecting with your heart, what feels the most expansive. And you take what your heart is taking you so you can maybe get out of the mind and get out of the mental dilemmas and maybe where you might be tunneling in too much and getting to like releasing any fear mindsets, because fear at the end of the day is a illusion. So you can release any of those. So you can be focused more so on this bigger vision with your heart open and radiating your most authentic, vibrant frequency on a daily basis. This is also a good time to just like clear out whatever's like in your everyday life, like decluttering is just good, throwing out stuff because energetically that's just really, really powerful. But I love this air trine with it too, because there's a new way to maybe connect on social media. This could be like a really great like business strategy or plan that you just download that like gives you a lot more freedom and just is very innovative. Real magic comes from precision in your everyday life. And I've had a little difficulty with this, because sometimes I get a little bit impatient and I want to manifest like 10 things at once instead of just like a couple things at once. So it is actually good, if you're manifesting and just being very intentional with what you want to create in your everyday life, and in your everyday life, you're going towards it. To maybe just have 3 things at a time until it gets done. So you really get your energy honed in, and then those things manifest a lot faster and it's like checked off, and then you can keep on going. Because Saturn and Neptune in your 5th house, you're really getting connected with your heart and really what matters to you, what really lights you up. And this could have to do with friendships with Saturn, with Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune. Maybe there's frustrations with friendships, but this is kind of like a realignment. Somebody could come in that kind of triggers something. But at the end of the day, it's like, where were you where were you holding back your creativity? Where were you holding back your true, authentic self-expression? Because anytime you're doing that, you're not really letting your full, authentic self and source like flow through you. So it can create blocks in creativity. And when creativity really wants to flow right now, and whatever you create does want to be taken very seriously, but it's up to you to create form and structure for it. And this is where we can also recognize where we're in our head too much about something. Because if we're in our head too much about something, about a relationship or about a job or about an action that we need to take, this is where usually we're not aligned, so you need to get into your body and feel that yes or no from there with what goals you want to go after what do you really want to create, because the fifth house is creative energy about manifesting all your life. And you want to be aligned with your heart. You're going to be feeling it in your heart and you're going to be feeling it in your body. So does going towards this goal or creating this thing make you feel uplifted and excited? Then go in that direction. If it makes you feel weighed down and just sluggish, then that's, what you want to be spending less time on. Because the third house is very, very important, actually. The thoughts that we think on a daily basis, every word that we speak, every action that we take is actually very, very important. So I feel like this house is actually like underestimated. It's where we can get stuck on autopilot. And when we're on autopilot and our energy is like directionless, like we don't go where we actually want to go. And Sagittarius has the best energy right now with being able to go where they want to go, because, like you got to take your creation seriously. So be intentional with your energy on an everyday basis and make sure it has a direction to go in. Because the universe will mirror back to you right now. What does your everyday life look like? And does it look how you want it to look? If everything's a little scattered, if your energy's been scattered, everything's going to be kind of scattered all over the place. If you are very intentional with how you want to live life on a daily basis, then you will see that, and you will see the constant progression towards your goals and where you really want to go. So you got to face where maybe you've been distracted, where you can direct more of your energy and your signal in the direction towards this bigger picture and towards the manifestations. So this is a good full moon to really commit to what you want. If you, even energetically, if you're like, I kind of want this, I kind of want that, then the universe will send you that mixed energy also, and with stagnation and with nothing moving forward. So this is the time to really be intentional with what do you want to create for the long term? And then how can you also lead fully with your heart and with your full, self-expression and creativity and more authenticity, and at the end of the day, more so from your heart, so you can go in the right direction for you, so you can connect with the right people. I kind of like this for randomly also connecting with somebody randomly, because yeah, I mean, this looks really fun with Mars trine Uranus in the seventh house. It's like maybe you go, to a party or a concert or travel, and you meet somebody randomly. And, it's just kind of part of this like new era that you're a part of, and they open up your world in some way. And it ends up just being really random and exciting, but working out. Because, I mean, Mars and Uranus are both kind of volatile or chaotic planets sometimes. But with the trine, it's like maybe go do something random with somebody random, and it ends up being really fun. So I kind of like that. Finding soul tribe majorly with this. And you'll feel who's right for you and what is actually fun to you versus what's not fun to you. You'll feel it in your body. And maybe there is something random that comes into your life, but you're not sure about it. But get out of the mind, get into your body. Because if you're getting that feeling in your body, especially, excitement and everything, then that's your body telling you more of what you're going to feel versus, what you might be currently feeling and have to cut out and all of that. All right. Thank you so much, Sagittarius. Oh, wait, shit. I forgot the cards, obviously. Okay. So rest and rejuvenate. There is maybe a pause to really get those internal answers right now. With Jupiter and Venus in the eighth house, you're like, a straight up, you're psychic right now. Like you can get all that internal guidance. You just have to pause. And maybe you've been constantly on go and go and go mode. A lot of us are, because that's just how we've been trained, in this society. Not in Spain. They're not like that in Spain. Where you got to get more so, you're going to get all the answers from your heart and from how you're feeling, from how your body feels. It's less needing to go out and find the answers from anything or everyone, but you're kind of opening up to a whole new level. The ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's not happening for you. It's for you. It's happening for you, not to you. So maybe, there's some hurtful situation too that really cracks you open again. So you feel again. And that's like hard when that happens, but that's part of awakening too. You forget to feel sometimes. And if you're on the path of awakening, then, hurtful experiences will come in and crack open your heart again. So you feel deeply again. So you become who you were always meant to become in this lifetime. So, because you can only be fully embodied if you're allowing yourself to feel the whole range of emotions again. And we get cut off, especially as a Sagittarius. You had to take care of yourself and be dependent, independent young. And you had that natural wisdom to go in that direction that was going to be the most expansive and lucky for you. And so you can take care of yourself. But at the same time, there's a point where we do down our emotions just so we go. But I think this is a time where you kind of get out of survival mode. So you kind of let yourself hurt again. So you feel your heart again. So you open up your heart. So you can be more so embodied in a whole new way, like you never have been before. So make sure you rest and rejuvenate. It came out reversed. So some of you might not want to do that, but you're being guided to do that. Because there is a way that you're kind of being pushed towards more coherence. And you can only get that by, alignment first, getting into your body, getting into your inner wisdom, your inner knowing what's right for you, what's not right for you, what relationships. And you're going to feel that. You're going to feel the coherence in your body. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for an optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. I think this came out for Leo too. But yeah, you're going to feel like what is coherencing with you, whether it is relationships or an idea or a project or work or whatever. And you get into your heart with it to know what you want to create first versus from the mind. A lot of us start out backwards, in the mind. And when we're in the mind and going after our desires from the mind, that is usually our ego. And it doesn't actually bring us that deeper satisfaction or that evolution that we need. Because at the end of the day, our mind will always say, go chase money. And, money is just the middleman. And what we actually need to be doing is chasing our soulful evolution and expansion and raising our consciousness. So we're just going in that right direction. And then money is just a byproduct. So this is kind of a coherence that you're getting in tune with. You're getting more so into the heart, especially with this happening in the 8th house. Like you're getting emotionally in touch with what is deeply, deeply meaningful to you, your deeper soulful desire that your soul, you can't ignore anymore, because the soul would be really, really loud right now. And you would be feeling those things and feeling the frustration even more so right now if there is just a misalignment. So let yourself feel, and so you can get into the heart and tune into your heart when it comes to knowing that reality that you want to create. So you can send your manifestations up to the mind, and then the mind creates it. It's usually backwards, but we start from the heart, then we send our manifestations to create it from the mind. All right. Thank you so much, Sagittarius. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Oh my God. Capricorn. Hi. Okay. I was almost like, I flew through this one. This is nice. Sometimes I spend way too long on these, and I get so drained by the last one, but I feel good with you guys. Okay. So the full moon is happening in your 2nd house. And this is like a beautiful full moon for you. You know what I realized though? especially, today. Aquarius ruling your second house, it's time to focus. Don't focus on the money. You can't focus on the money because sometimes when we focus on making the money, we lower our consciousness because that's just the middle thing. We need to focus on our soulful growth and evolution and what's going to bring us that so we can show up, so you can show up that best version of yourself for the people. And that's what's going to give the value that the people need. Money is just like a byproduct, and you can focus on that, but then you kind of go in the wrong direction. And when you focus on your soulful growth and evolution instead, then that's you're tapping into that unlimited value that wants to flow through you, because it is the never ending tap of source that can flow through you, that is abundant. Like, you are infinite, you are abundant, you are the universe, everything is inside of you. Money is literally just paper. Money is worth nothing, really. Like, the paper is literally worth nothing. They print it and they print it and they print it. So what's going to give you the most money is focusing on your value, your consciousness, your ability to expand to the next level. So with the second house, like, this is a good time to throw away stuff that just isn't resonant of who you are anymore. And then also releasing old limiting mindsets about money that does keep you in that smaller perspective. Because at the same time, the way that you can have a bigger perspective about money is to elevate your consciousness with it. So let me see. I also wrote down this one thing. Yeah, what do you spend your time and energy on? Like, you need to focus more so on what you value and spend more of your time on that. So it does make you, so you do boost up your own value. Oh shit, one sec. Money is not more important than who you are. You are the abundance. You are the infinite. And when you make money bigger than you, you cut yourself off from you being bigger, and you are bigger. So you need to really focus on more so on the frequency, remembering your value, remembering your worth, remembering that you are consciousness and you can tune into the field where everything exists. And then you follow source and you go in the right direction and you go towards the right inspirations and receive the ideas or whatever it is, so you can go in the right direction to create more money. Because, and a favorite affirmation is, all my actions create money. So affirmations can really, really help to help you shift your perspective and mindset about money. But yeah, anything that you can do, affirmations, or just like listening to, money, ways that you can have a better like perspective with money, can be very, very awakening to you and can free you a lot with anything subconsciously that you've had, when it comes to your relationship with money. Because this Mercury retrograde in the 8th house, there can be different ways that you've really purged like lack or limitation, or the ways of being codependent in relationships, or the ways of not being straightforward with money. I mean, just sometimes like people have difficulty just like talking about money. You can really like kind of go through this massive evolution, because you're kind of meant to show up out in the world in a more powerful way with Mars in the 10th house. You're being called like kind of up out in the world, maybe with new relationships, with innovative ideas, with this nice air trine. Yeah, you're innovating the way you work. So Uranus in the 6th, innovating the way you work, your routines, your habits. You could be freed from work that just isn't really serving you anymore, or just like a coworker maybe that's annoying you. Like, um, and then a trine to Pluto, you're meant to be powerful with money. Trine to Pluto in the second house, and maybe you finally have had an idea and you've been ruminating on it for a while, but now it's time to finally launch that idea and go full force with it. At the same time, you're awaking internally, to who you really are. With Saturn and Neptune going retrograde in the fourth house, you're kind of remembering that version of you from early childhood that, wasn't so too rigid or blocked off, or, trying to please society, or, yeah, you're remembering more of your true, authentic self. And you're shedding all the masks and all the identities that, aren't you. So there could be challenges from work. Maybe somebody comes in at work and they trigger you in a certain way, but it's like bringing up, those childhood wounds or stories that so they can be released. So you can remember how powerful you are, especially when you do allow yourself to get more so into who you were, you know, earlier in life, like when you were a child, almost like before the world like shaped and molded you and programmed you to be a certain way. Your power is, bringing more of who you were before all of that back. So yeah, maybe there is a trigger that comes up and it reminds you of something, but this is an invitation so you can be bolder, so you can remember your value that you came here with, and to know what you're capable of, that you're not taking any more shit, and that you are going to express and embody yourself in the way that you were always meant to, without limiting yourself, without, pleasing the people too much out at work, without being boundaryless. It's all about having those boundaries out of self-love, and then also putting self-love at the priority right now, because there can be magical relationships that come your way, especially with Jupiter and Venus in the seventh house. Magic and deepening and love definitely wants to happen, but it's all about being really authentic and really being true to the core of who you are, so you can allow those strong soulmate connections to come in. So the crumbling came out. What are you clinging on to? There might be just a wall, like, that is old and dusty, and something that you needed to, have for, protection, or just to be societally acceptable in life. Where if you let that wall come down, if you soften, if you just allow yourself to be your full radiant self with, that unconditional love for yourself, and then yeah, they don't have to trigger you, as long as you love yourself and you're vibrating in so much self-love, then you're going to attract all the right things to you, the right people, the right, jobs, the right relationships, all of that. Because yeah, this is a door to personal healing and happiness. And when you do that, when you shed, the layers, when you shed the stories, you open yourself up to all the things that were blocking you off. It's like you were stuck in your room for ages and keeping yourself blocked in, and your perspective smaller. And then when you go through that internal work and free yourself, you really just see how much more bigger the world is, and how much more you can explore and create and adventure. And yeah, Cosmic Flower came out. So yeah, that makes sense with Neptune on Saturn right now. And it's been there for a while. You're kind of connecting to more of your multidimensionality, more of your multidimensional self. So the frequency of the Cosmic Flower activates our remembrance of the place we call home, the core from which we pour our magnificence out into the world. Yeah. So you're getting in touch with your lifetimes from past lifetimes on Earth, or even multidimensional, other planets and everything. And that's really going to open you up to all your gifts and your natural, just your natural gifts that already, but you have to go into your soul and kind of remember, what you came here with. So you can let more of and you only know by letting it pour out of you, you know? So internally, you're planting those seeds of confidence right now. You're planting those seeds of just knowing. And, you know, it's a powerful time to journal. It's a powerful time to create, especially, you know, from home. And it's a powerful time to express yourself in new ways. And not rely on anybody else for anybody else's approval. Your self-worth is based on you remembering what you already have versus, you know, what anybody else has to say. So let yourself kind of unfold, you know, plant those seeds inside of you and let yourself slowly come out, surely even more and more, and let it unfold. It'll be, you know, surprising to you as long as you're being intentional with how, you know, you're allowing your heart to unfold versus like, you know, and shutting the ego. That's it. And third eye, you could receive major downloads right now. And whatever downloads you receive could be very powerful, like for, you know, ways of making money for you, but also, you know, making money that helps in a way that does help the collective. These are ideas that would help the collective and would help you to be very, very abundant also. So the frequency of the third eye chakra and indigo flower supports our intuition in our inner knowing, in our imagination, in our psychic powers. Yep, you're getting in touch with all of that. And yeah, I think this is majorly an unblocking of the throat chakra too. So maybe you're just saying something and it kind of awakens you in a whole new way of what you can possibly create. Yeah, third eye chakra, throat chakra, just like connection. Okay, let me pull one more card. I didn't pull one. No, I won't. One more of this. But yeah, there could be an innovating way that you try different things out at work that is kind of exciting and frees you up a bit more, but lets you go through this money mindset transformation too. So get grounded, empath, highly sensitive, connect with nature. That's really important with Saturn. Neptune on Saturn, that rules you. You know, you are connected to oneness in everything in vibration. So you will receive that guidance in a really powerful way when you connect with nature and when you get into your heart. You know, those like the knowing is so, so strong. So make sure you do that. All right. Thank you so much, Capricorn. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio.